Yep. Wait, it says excellent. I don't. Yeah, yeah, yep. There we go. There we go. It says please stand by. Yep, we're good. All right. Come on, man. You right. You right. We don't. Yeah, none of us do. Come on, Henry.
We love you, Henry.
Come on, man. Scatterboo got you in a good mood, brother. You good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe. We're gonna get with this. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. Yeah. All right. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Oh,
There you go. Yep. Yep. Sir, did you get it? You get anything on your phone saying that we're about to go live?
let's see. Yes.
Okay.
I'm finding the spreadsheet right now.
I'm talking for the YouTube channel saying that we live.
No, I got that too.
Okay. 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 Let's go. Let's make lemonade. What's up, the Post Weekly family? Toby Durham, Post Weekly brought to you by HBCU Live. Week 5, ready to go. Along with my co-host, Will Terry, the Gridiron Specialist, Coach Thrill. How you doing today, brother?
Doing just well. And hey to my HBCU Live family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here it is in the month of October. As you see, we've decked out. Mr. Henry Funny's got us decked out in pink for National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We also want to say, we love the breast here at HBCU Live. We want to make sure that everybody's getting what they need. So if you can, log on to the nationalbreastcancer.org and donate so we can make sure that, cancer is taken care of and we've got the research and people can get what they need. Over here at HBCU Live, we rebuke cancer.
Rebuke it.
Yes, yes. So if anybody has suffered from it, has fallen ill to it, donate at the nationalbreastcancer.org and donate as much as you can.
Please do. Please do. I have a sister, stepsister, but sister, survivor of breast cancer. Good friend, 2 friends. One is a wife survivor of breast cancer, and I have one going through it as we speak. So again, donate, please.
Right. Because breast cancer, it'll take people away from us who we truly love, and it'll diminish their way of life. And as we're loving people, in this community, as well as we'll talk about loving people. We want to talk about the issues that's been going on in our HBCU campuses. There's been a lot of violence lately. There was a shooting last weekend at South Carolina State's homecoming. We don't need that, people.
No.
Going to a homecoming is for love, appreciation, seeing fellowship for our people. There's no need to bring guns, violence, and stuff into this atmosphere. It's for loving people. So if that's your goal, if that's what you got to do, please keep your ass at home. Okay, we don't need that violence on our campus. We don't need it in our sporting events and what we have as people. We already viewed in this country in a certain way. So please, keep the violence away from us. We want people coming in, loving on each other. We don't need that violence.
Well said. Let me take my reading glasses off for this. It's sickening. Sickening. And I don't know if that's the word, or is there a word good enough to describe the violence and the stupidity that goes on in these events when you're having tons of fun. You said it earlier today when we were talking. One of our last pillars is HBCU homecoming. Each university, college, alumni, current students, local fans, and community look forward to that. So only violence that should be going on that day should be on that field. It's controlled violence,
right?
In between the whistle. Other than that, man, like you said, keep your ass at home.
Yeah. Because why are you bringing this into that? That this arena is for people who are educated. And all that violence, that's for uneducated people. Keep that stuff away. We at HBCU Live, we enjoy the camaraderie of fellowship amongst in between those lines, the competition. Because at the end of the day, if you look, everybody's shaking hands,
right,
going on and moving on to the next. To the next. But please leave that violence away from the homecomings, from the games, from the students. Give our people an opportunity to live and succeed and thrive on that professional level.
And real quick, it's not just the uneducated. There's some uneducated people in regards to university grads that have their sons. Keep the ignorant away.
Yes. Well, let's go ahead and get into what we're here for. HBCU sports. And right now we have a good show lined up for you. First, we're going to start off in the CIAA. And if y'all know, we go by alphabetical order. So that's why we're going to start with the CIAA today. And we start with D2. So we're going to go with the CIAA. Right. We can get the standings, Henry, from for the CIAA and see where we're at. last week we had Livingstone top undefeated, but now we have the Broncos of Fayetteville State sitting at 3-0. Followed by Virginia Union, they're at 2-0, followed by Johnson C. Smith at 2-1, and Livingstone at 2-1. Coach Thrill, at the beginning of the season, would you sit here and say, going into the middle of October, that you see the Fayetteville State Broncos sitting at 3-0? Would you say that?
Not at the beginning of the season, not after the first couple of weeks. No. So again, I had Virginia State, Virginia Union, Johnson C. Smith, West Ham State. That was my top four. Am I surprised? But a little bit. But a little bit. I really thought it was going to be a rebuilding year for Fayetteville State, and there was nothing against the head coach Hayes. He's done a magnificent job with that program and continue to do so. But I thought this year would be just a step back, or at least a step to the side. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Well, they took care of Bowie State last week, 38-10. And it really wasn't much of a contest. They held Bowie State to 15 yards rushing the entire game.
How many yards?
15 yards total. 15 total rushing yards the entire game. So that Fayetteville State defense is something to look at. You know, we had Coach Hayes on last week. You know, like I said, we thank him, for giving us his time last week. And he really had the boys ready when they went up to Bowie, Maryland.
He said he was getting ready for the gauntlet, and he was not playing. He had them focused, taking it game by game, play by play, and they're sticking to their assignments. They're aggressive. Their defense intense. 15 yards for the whole game, not the first quarter, not the first half, the whole game. So they keep going like that, they're gonna be something to reckon with.
Right. Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls went up to Petersburg, Virginia, and they took care of the Trojans 31-20. I've said it, I never want anybody to get injured, but I believe Brandon Rose being injured for those Virginia State Trojans has really hampered that offense. And Smith took the time, they came off the homecoming win against Bluefield State. They're on a bye this weekend, but they took care of business up in Petersburg, Virginia, by taking care of the Trojans. The loss to the Union is the only blemish on the Golden Bulls season this year.
Mm-hmm. And Flowers, to his credit, got those boys back focused, came back for homecoming, put that wood smack on Bluefield. Then went up and had a good defensive and offensive show with Virginia State. Kevin Durham, he's balling, he's hitting stride. If you look at a race like the 400, he's coming out that back curve. So that Fayetteville State, Johnson C. Smith, things are starting to get interesting now.
Yes,
so
yes, it will.
Virginia State is taking a step back, but will.
Like I say, injuries, you can't, but like I say, we'll see moving forward in the season. But you just made an interesting, you should state an interesting team. Bluefield State. They were able to beat Shaw 35-33 on Saturday, which made their first CIAA win since the 1960s.
Woo! Wasn't even thought of.
Right. We wouldn't even thought of, but here they are, sitting at 2-3, conference record of 1-1. The Big Blue, like I say, congratulations, Bluefield. First off, welcome back to the CIAA. They've been there for a couple of years now, but welcome back. And they finally got their first, they popped the cherry.
And they popped the cherry, but unfortunately, they're about to get flatlined. Sorry, they're not gonna win another game. So congratulations on your cherry. Enjoy your cherry.
Well, hey, a win is a win, and taking out the Shaw Bears, that was a good win for them. But like I say, congratulations, Bluefield. Like I say, on your victory over Shaw this past weekend. Coach Thrills, he says the season may be over, but we got a little bit. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the season. Last week, Livingstone was atop the CIAA at 2-0. They took their talents out to the coast, to Elizabeth City, and they ran into a little buzzsaw with the Vikings and lost 39-27. What did AJ have for them, Coach?
Preparation. Time. They had to buy, so he had time to get those guys healed, that need to be healed, focused, that need to be focused, and hungry that felt that it was full. So the season not over. I don't see them threatening to fight to the championship, but you still can be competitive. And they showed that against Livingstone, brought them back down to earth. So that was a good comeback win for AJ and the rest of the Elizabeth City State fans.
Okay. We had one more game in the CIAA. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's just throw it out there. Season's getting on. Who would be your picks right now if the season ended today, Coach? Who would be your picks for CIAA Coach of the Year?
Right now, Coach Parker, Virginia Union, followed by your Coach Flowers, your alma mater, John C. Smith University, and I'm gonna write it on paper and not throw it in the hat. I'm going to say Coach Hayes, Fayetteville State University.
Okay. So you got Coach Alvin Parker at Virginia Union because he's got them rolling. Their only loss was to Edward Waters, which actually was a close contest.
Right.
They're ranked 19th in the country. They are a smash mouth football team.
Yes.
They run all over you. They can send you the playbook before the game. And all you gotta do is you gotta stop it. You can know every play that's coming. You just gotta stop it.
Nothing complex.
Right. This last year was one of the best seasons that Johnson C. Smith had when they started out 8-0.
Mm-hmm.
They started out this year. They went up to Harvard and took care of the Morehouse.
right. Harvard.
And then the next game was I would say a program defining win in the Valdosta State victory.
Definitely.
Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, it was situational football when they went up to Virginia Union and they lost 28-10. But they've righted the ship, with blowout wins of Bluefield, and then they went up to Petersburg last weekend and took care of Virginia State. So Coach Maurice Flowers has this team on the right track. So I can see why you say that he's Coach of the Year. And talk about Coach Hayes, the job he's done. Starting out with the donut at Benedict, but has really turned the team around. Coming into conference play.
Well said. Started off 0-3, but he knew that he had a team that went through non-conference gauntlet, and that could prepare him for the conference. He just had to make sure they knew in here and in their heart that they was ready for conference play when they got started. So they believed in the coach. They went off the experience that he had. He believed in his team and his players, kept them prepared, kept them motivated, and they turned their season around.
Right. Well, like I said, we started out with Coach Parker and VUU. They went out to Winston, this past weekend. And you actually got a chance to go to that game.
I did.
So like I say, right now your front runner is Coach Alvin Parker. And they those Panthers, they've been for years have been taking care of folks on the gridiron, in the trenches and everything. So, Coach, tell me what you saw at this game.
8-0 live and in person. I swear, it seemed like he breathed and he take a step, he got 5 yards. So again, nothing complex at all. They lined up, got to sit on that football, We're gonna snap it, and we're going straight down your throat with Agent Zero, and then he'll come in with the backup. Devontae. Not Devontae. Raymond Brown. Raymond Brown, number 3 receiver, but he also gets touches in the backfield. The O-line was physical and dominant and controlled the trenches. Rosales in the first half, he made crucial throws that opened the box slightly. But in the second half, he didn't throw the ball. They did not attempt to throw the ball, not one time. So that lets you know that they really believe in their line. They believe in their running game. Period. It could have been better officiated. No slight against the staff, but I think it caused some calls and some delays between the refereeing staff. Took away some of the rhythm. Winston State didn't fold up. It was 44-34. A couple of plays here and there. This could have been a different game. But hats off to Virginia.
Right. Did I hear you correctly? You said that they didn't attempt to pass in the second half?
Did not attempt. Not now. Those who don't slang. Not none for those who want to do proper English. But not now. Not now attempt. They just wanted to milk that clock, run that clock. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we got a guy like Agent Zero. I think he had 230 yards on 34 carries. If I'm correct on that. So Winston State didn't have an answer for him. They didn't have an adjustment for him. They did, however, get their offense rolling, but it was too little too late.
Right. I got to give it, like say, Dalen Lee is one of the better quarterbacks in D2 for Winston State. And they gave him, I feel that they gave Union, all that they could handle, it's just on defense. But offense was just they were clicking on offense so much that running that ground the pound game between Curtis Allen, between Raymond Brown, that's tough to beat, when those guys in the front trenches, when they're moving you against your will, gaps in the 8 gap, creating gaps with swinging out to the flats and everything, that's hard, and I feel that Virginia Union is going to be a tough out moving forward, especially when it comes to the CIAA slate.
They definitely are. One adjustment I did not see that I would have wanted to see with Winston State was the edge protection. Curtis Allen don't look to bounce. He runs downhill, he gets that momentum going, big body, keep the pass low. And the DNs were not containing him, pushing him back into the meat of the defense. So he took advantage of that. What I saw live was he's a lot faster than what I realized. Mm-hmm. So with that big body momentum going downfield and you're hitting him high, chest, and that's not going to work. You got to get below that, got to get your pass low and get up under him. They didn't, obviously, with 200-some yards. So going forward, you'll see different teams trying to adjust. Elizabeth City, I'm interested to see how AJ draw up a scheme to try to stop him, because if you stop him or not stop him, maybe contain him, at least contain him.
Right.
Make Rosales beat you. Show me what you can do for all 4 quarters. Five completions against John C. Smith, got to win. Not one attempt in the second half against Winston State, got to win. So make him pull that trigger.
Right. Now he was 10 for 14 for 143 yards and a touchdown against Winston State, but to not attempt a pass in the entire second half of the game, that's and get a W. That means your ground game is kicking. So that means you're alive and well on that field. And here at HBCUlive, we want to check the pulse of everybody. Go ahead and check the pulse of teams in the CIAA who we think their heartbeat is live and pumping right now. I want to say that Fayetteville State, they're live and pumping, 3-0.
Live and pumping.
They are like I say, they're clicking at the right time of year. Those like I said, we said it before. Those first 3 losses to Benedict, UNC, North Carolina Central have prepared this team. You know, because I was at the game when they lost to Benedict, and I saw some infighting on the bench. You know, people saying, "No, this was about no." You know what I'm saying? But that right there, I think that has gelled this team for them to be, you know, ready to go in the CIAA.
I agree. Trials and tribulations can bring you together or tear you apart.
Right. Here's another team that has a real tight heartbeat. That's the John C. Smith Golden Bulls.
Are you glowing now, huh?
You know, listen, I got a lot of love for the blue and gold and everything, but like I say, we haven't always had something to talk about when it comes to football. Right now, our post is strong.
Very strong, and a big threat. Again, big win over Valdosta State. Situational loss. We'll call that against BUU. They're right back in it.
Right.
Speaking of them.
Speaking of the Panthers, you know, their heartbeat is very strong. You know, like we just talked about this ground game. As you see, Agent Zero right there. What he had, like 46 rushes in this game. You know, his heartbeat was up. You know, his heart rate was up. And for us to see them, just like I say, just ground and pound like that, their heartbeat is up. Their pulse is up. They're a team to be reckoned with. So I think that these 3 teams in the CIAA, they have a heartbeat, they have a pulse, and maybe 2 out of the 3 of these teams may be competing for a CIAA championship in November.
Very likely, very possible.
You know, let's focus on the Broncos for a second. Because when we talked to Coach Hayes last week, he talked about sticking with Damari Daniels as his quarterback. You know, he said he came to the program. He had to sit out for a little while, but he stuck with him. You know, what does that do for a player? You know, saying Coach stuck with me as a player. What does that do for a player?
Build your confidence. Build your admiration for your coach, team. Makes you a leader. You know, leaders don't always come out unscathed and go through sitting on the bench or injuries or things of that nature. You don't want to sit the bench. But at the same token, you got to learn from sitting down sometimes. You know, take a step back to take 2 steps forward. So I think that makes you mentally strong, for one. So when you face adversity going forward, when you are the man, when you are in a leadership role, you can also communicate with your teammates because you have experience in all aspects, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So when your coach believes in you and he stay with you and you stay with that coach, you build a relationship that can't be divided. And again, it gives the player the ultimate confidence and chest up high that his coach believe in him and give him a shot.
In the game this past weekend against Bowie State, Damari, he was 17 for 26 for 146 yards passing, and he was 14 rushes for 74 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. You know, so I think that, you know, that gives a good pulse to the offense of Fayetteville State. You know, they got homecoming this weekend against the Livingstone Blue Bears. So we'll see, can they continue it up? Moving forward, like, Broncos are playing good ball. What do you think about the Golden Bulls? You know, what do they need to be successful moving forward? Keep that heart rate up.
Defense, keep going, maintaining. Kevin Durham, stay efficient. The running game can get a little more. They don't need to go through the running game, but they need, as far as the juggernauts, the Fayetteville State, they're going to have to be well balanced, I feel, in order to move that ball and keep the defense off the field. You have 4 quarters. Fayetteville State have shown that they get stronger as they go. So Kevin Durham, again, he's a good one in himself. That's going to be a good battle. They need to rely on him, lean on him, and that defense also is strong. Which they defense win championships. It's that time.
Mm-hmm. And I say John C. Smith is not known to be a powerhouse when it comes to football, but Coach Flowers has really done an excellent job in making sure that this program is ready for the prime time and the upper echelon of the
Mm-hmm.
CIAA. And they
Mm-hmm.
are, as long as he's there, I think John C. Smith will be competitive. I
For
hope to
sure.
see them in the championship game this year. Hope this loss to Virginia Union doesn't keep them out, because right now
Right.
Fayetteville State and Union are still undefeated in conference play. But you got some big games coming up. They still have to play. John C. Smith still has to play Fayetteville State. They still have to play Livingstone. They still have to play Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, they control their own destiny.
Right.
Fayetteville
Right.
State control their own destiny. Winston-Salem State needs help. So they control a part of their destiny and then looking for others to help them out. But as far as John C. Smith and Fayetteville State, it's all in their bag right now. They control how if they went out. Either one went out, they go CBUU.
Right. Like I say, John C. Smith's off this week. They have a bye this week. So Virginia Union, like we said, is going out to Elizabeth City to play the Elizabeth City Vikings. And I know all program we've been saying AJ is for Adrian Jones,
Yes, sir.
the head coach out there at Elizabeth City, who was the head coach at Shaw last year, but this is his first year at Elizabeth City. And now he has an opportunity to play Giant Killer and have an opportunity to take out Virginia Union, because they had a bye week before last after getting thrashed by Fayetteville State 51-8 at the Down East Classic. Took a week off, came back, prepared for a 2-0 Livingstone team, took care of them. Now they have a juggernaut in Virginia Union coming into town. And we'll see how it goes this week, but the pulse of the Virginia Union Panthers is strong.
Very strong.
The force is strong with this one.
The Yoda. They got the Yoda.
Right, they got the Yoda, right. Right. But now, as we have to talk about, we got some teams that got pulses. They're looking strong. Then we got some teams that ain't looking so good. And we got unfortunately we might have to flatline.
Ooh, there.
Here it goes. Here it goes. Uh-oh.
Mine is Bluefield.
Yours is Bluefield. Mine is Lincoln.
We're gonna find out tomorrow.
those Lincoln Lions, man. Listen, I love the way they compete.
Storyblocks Audio.
Hummus Dumas, the quarterback up there at Lincoln, like I love this guy. He's got a lot of heart,
Right.
But
right.
They seem to fall short, when it comes to competing. They start out strong. The defense, they're real scrappy, but those Lincoln Lions, brother, they're saying so.
Inconsistent.
Inconsistent. So this is the Pulse Weekly, and this is Hbculive, the Pulse of Black College Sports. And unfortunately, we have to say to the Lincoln Lions, your pulse is not strong in this one.
No, not at all.
You're averaging 12.3 points a game.
12 point what?
12.3.
You need to put me off, man.
So somebody scored a touchdown and 2 field goals.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. So like I said, we don't want to talk bad about anybody. We're just talking about what's on paper.
We're keeping it real.
We're keeping it a buck. And Lincoln,
Shaw already flatline, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But like I say, they got a brand new coach, because they say AJ left them and went to Elizabeth City. So they had to start all over and things like that.
That's true. That's true.
But like I say, Lincoln, we're sorry, but here you go.
No. I got you, Lincoln, baby. You got one more post. Got one more heartbeat. One more.
You sure?
Yeah. One more breath. Take it.
All right. Moving on to the. Okay, so that was our CIW coverage. now we got a whole other conference in D2 that we talk about with HBCUs, which is the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, headquartered out of Atlanta, Georgia, better known as the SIAC.
Yep.
Yes. And we get the conference standings for there. Surprise. Still at the top, we got those Benedict Tigers at 4-0 in the conference, 5-0 overall, followed by 3-0, surprise, Edward Waters at 3-0, followed by the Albany State Golden Rams at 4-0. And boy, I tell you, this conference is full of surprises. Those Kentucky State Thoroughbreds are 4-1. Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it?
We're going to, everybody can read, the rest of the conference right there, Allen the 2-2 and so forth. But Coach Thrill,
talk to me.
Tell me about what's shocking you the most out of those four we just talked about. What shocked you the most?
First, Edward Waters. Coach left abruptly. Like I say, repeat again, right after media day, the head coach left. So you have to revamp everything. And they did. Now, during the season, Benedict comes out of nowhere. Although they won the first two games, 10-0, we thinking, Fayetteville State really hitting on too much and nothing. They only had a defense touchdown against Central State. They're about to be getting their butt whooped by Tuskegee and so forth and so on. Wrong. They went and got that Ocean. Dickinson, I went and got that Ocean. Play ball. And those are the two surprising teams. Kentucky State is not the biggest surprise as those two, but they're up there. But those are my two biggest surprises, Edward Waters and Benedict.
Got you. Well, Albany State was picked to win the conference, preseason. So they're doing what everybody, what Dennis Green say, we are who they thought they were.
Right. Yeah.
But Kentucky State, sitting there 4-1 in the conference, 4-2 overall. Coach Felton Huggins Jr. He has really surprised me with the way that he has handled his team. Being at 4-1 in the conference, I'd have never thought it. Coming in, but they're surprising everybody. They just beat Miles this past weekend, who was the defending champs. Other SIAC. That's amazing to me, brother. You know what I'm saying? That they're sitting there. So, hats off to you, Coach Huggins, man. We Hbculive, we see you, brother. We see you. We see you, the job that you're doing out there in Frankfort, Connecticut, Kentucky. I was saying Frankfort, Connecticut.
Yeah, Frankfort,
Kentucky. But like I say, we see what the job that you're doing. We salute you, brother. This past weekend in the SIC, Central State and Fort Valley squared off at Fort Valley's homecoming, and Central State took the game 18-14. But the main thing that people are taking away from this game is the brawl after the game.
Right.
It led to 20 total suspensions. Both coaches, Tony Carter from Central State and the coach from Fort Valley State, both have been suspended a game. 9 players from Fort Valley, 11 players from Central State have been suspended for this week's upcoming games. I don't know if it was worth it. We had a conversation, about fighting in football opposed to fighting in hockey.
Right.
So we'll make that for another day and everything. But
right,
that killed an entirely good competitive football game. So moving forward, I think that's going to hamper any moving forward for either team. For Central State or for Fort Valley.
Yeah. I didn't see them threatening for the championship, but you're still trying to get some wins, and you're still trying to get better and better, and build yourself for even next year. Not that you're trying to think for next year like you give up the season, but at the same token, you don't want to take a step back, regardless in any program. You always want to keep moving forward. So things like that can set you back. Unfortunate things do happen. Hopefully, they all can learn from this and right the ship.
Right. Right. Moving forward, like we were just talking about Kentucky State, they beat Miles 38-17. Albany State went up to Tennessee and took on Lane and beat them 47-6.
I'll root for you, Lane.
I know. Yeah, look, if for y'all that don't know, Coach Drill and Coach Stanley Connor from Lane, they have a connection. They're old football guys.
Yes,
Coach Drill loves Coach Connor, but the Dragons weren't able to put it together on the field.
Yeah, no, that was. I think he need to get more pieces. Hopefully, get more pieces. I think he has the right coaching IQ. I don't think he's so old school as this to be outdated. It's more old school as far as preparation and mentality of toughness. But he got to get some thoroughbreds in the stable because he got thoroughbreds in that conference. So you can't have no ponies out there on that track.
Right. Yeah, it's a thoroughbred. Right.
Yes, sir.
And one thing about this SIAC, surprise, Morehouse Tigers beat the Tuskegee Tigers in the Morehouse Tuskegee Classic, which is an every year thing. 27-20.
Who done found a post, man? Look who done found a post.
Look who has found a post. Morehouse has really surprised people. Miles Scott is a quarterback at Morehouse. We will talk about him a little later and everything.
Right.
But if you go back, I picked that game.
You called it.
I picked that game. So that was a good win for Morehouse. So but moving forward, we got a chance to we talked to coaches around here at Hbculive. So we had a chance to catch up with Allen's head coach, Cedric Pearl. Let's see what he had to say about his program and everything going down there at Allen University.
First of all, again, thanks again for giving us the opportunity to speak with you again.
Oh, no problem, man.
In today's game, a lot of teams use, in regards to the Russian attack, run by committee. You have that line they call nicknamed division. Even with a great line like that, a lot of teams still run by committee. When did you notice, or when did you realize that you had a special player in Fabian Duncan that can handle such a workload to end up breaking the record?
At the end of last season, actually, because Fabian. One thing about Fabian, he's a workout warrior, so he's always taking care of his body in the weight room and conditioning wise too. So he's always training, so he's always in great shape. So I knew coming into this year, that's some of the things that we challenged him about, to be a workhorse, a guy that can at least carry the ball 25 times a game, and sometimes they may call for 30. But I never would have thought it called for 46, like versus Clark.
Right.
But it did. And he stood tall, and in his defense, his strength and conditioning showed up. He had no injuries, just a normal, wear and tear come from a football game. That was all he had.
Yeah, great. That's definitely showed out. As far as I know, Coach Bo, we're a good guy. We go back to
great guy.
And as far as defense, I know it's not where you all wanted to be in regards to where your offense is at. Do you feel it's a scheme issue to be adjusted, or a personnel issue to adjust the scheme?
I think it's just like anything else. Year one, again, a lot of new players on defense. With the transfer portal, there's always an influx of kids. So we have a lot of new starters on defense and just getting comfortable in the system. And I see guys doing that now. And then those things are starting to happen. You're starting to see kids make plays like right now, Aaron Gresham in 2 weeks got 3 interceptions. And I think Jaheim Pittman probably leading all defensive linemen in tackles. He's sitting at 33 for an interior defensive lineman, not a defensive end. So things are starting to click, and I like the way they're progressing and get better, at the right time. So that's what it's all about.
I appreciate you, Coach. Good luck this season. Y'all definitely headed in the right direction.
Thank you.
Coach, I got a couple of questions for you. Allen is new, not new, but just being a newer team in the SIAC. Talk about what it's like playing the SIAC week in and week out. and your passion towards leading these guys on the field each week?
Oh man, I enjoy coaching in the SIC. I played in the SIC. The SIC is an outstanding Division II football league, one of the best, in my opinion. We have a lot of great coaches and a lot of great players. You have to be prepared weekly to play. No matter what you see on that film, that team's going to come and those coaches going to have your opponent ready to play Saturday. So you always got to have your A game on Saturday in the SIC, man. There's no doubt about it. No other way to be.
And we thank Coach Pearl and Phil, SID over at Allen, for sitting with us, because I have thoroughly enjoyed watching Allen play this year. It's not like they came out of nowhere. They've been, they started the program back in 2018. They've been in this SIAC for 2 or 3 years now, and now they're competing. They're a team that you root for, say, because they have an offensive line. They got some hogs down there. Their defense, they're scrappy. Like I say, I just enjoy watching Allen. I like watching football. And these guys play football.
That they do. Fabian Duncan, the Mutes, they keep that, and actually got the division. I like that nickname. But the coach, he's one of the guys you root for. And love the game, kind of like Dickerson, another guy that I'm a big fan of. But Allen is making steps forward, and I see them progressing.
I mean, competing in, they're 2-2 in the SIAC right now. With losses to Benedict and Albany State, but they've beaten some of the cream of the crop, like Clark. They beat Central State as well. So Allen is a team, they say, that you root for. You want them to be, you want them to win and things, but like I say, they're putting they have the pieces to be competitive, So they're going to give you the best that they have. They're playing Savannah State this weekend. They're coming to Columbia, so I look for them to be, on point with, when it comes to, rest of the season and things,
Gotcha.
So in the SIAC, like I say, we are who they thought they were. Albany State, the Golden Rams. They we have a video of Allen and BC coming up. But but like I say, we have that game, so we'll talk about Allen and Benedict in a second. But like I say, Albany State is the cream of the crop when it comes to this conference. Quinn Gray has got the boys ready, each weekend, like you say, all three phases, offense, defense, special teams, well coached team. Elwood Waters, Brian Jenkins, former coach over there at Bethune-Cookman. He came in, like you say, right before the season started. Okay, came in right before the season started. Wait. I see what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? So, but let's go ahead and get into that Allen and Benedict. Let's go ahead and get into that Allen Benedict. I jumped. I heard you, Henry. You know what I'm saying?
Players mess up.
Yeah, players mess up. You know what I'm saying? My players mess up. But in the game against Allen, for what I saw was Benedict came out, scored his touchdown, 7-0. But then on the next pursuing kickoff, Landers Lawrence, he took it all the way down to the 1. About to punch it in. And here comes Disputes. He punches in from the 1, 7-7. This was a back and forth game. This game was chippy the entire time. They had been talking on social media all week because both teams are right there in Columbia. But this pick six right here changed the game. The Allen defense, they held Darius Ocean under 100 yards passing. It was the defense. It was a block punt for a touchdown. That interception right there, that did it. So that took Allen out the game wholeheartedly, and that's why Benedict is 5-0. You see the fumble recovery right here.
Yes,
too many
sir.
turnovers. Even they missed this field goal right here. So Allen was always in the game.
Benedict found a way to win.
They just turnovers, and like I said, Coach Pearl, he was coaching his heart out, and the guys the Allen players, they will run through a wall for Coach Pearl,
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, but like I say, it was too much Benedict, too much RPO. Look at the athleticism there, they have athletes on that Benedict Tiger team and stuff, But like I say, Allen never backed down. They were in it the entire time. They held Darius Ocean to under 100 yards passing. Very hard to do.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I hear you, Henry. That was my fault. That was me. Messed up. But moving forward, that's where we are in the SIAC. So we did a health check on the CIAA. Let's do a health check on the SIAC.
Yeah, let's see where they at.
Yeah. Whose heart is pumping, but my heart don't pump no Kool-Aid. Stop it.
Gooseberry, baby. Hey, so we just saw one Benedict heart pumping very strong. Albany State, of course, Edward Waters, and surprise, Kentucky State, who those two, the last two mentioned, play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about two heartbeats about to come together, but they're not singing it on stage with each other. they fighting like Duck and his brother. Everybody got to prove my love.
Every day I got to fight for my love. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Noah Biden going up there to Kentucky to go away, snatch their heart out.
Right.
Storybox Audio.
I gotta say, Kentucky State.
Mm-hmm.
They got a strong push. I think we got a little. I think we got a little video on them. No, okay, all right. I thought we had a little bit of but
we'll get next time.
Yeah, we get it next time. But Kentucky State, like I say, Coach Huggins, he has really Felton Huggins has really done a great job over there.
Storybox Audio.
Morehouse, I would say they got a little heartbeat. For the quarterback Miles Scott, he's really turned the corner. And Morehouse, with the upset of Tuskegee last weekend, I think Morehouse has a little pulse.
And their schedule is favorite for them to keep singing their ballads too. And their heart gonna be pumping. They snatch out the life support and put it in the IV.
Storybox Audio.
So
yeah,
Morehouse can very easily win the next 3 games.
Well, like I say, the season is we're turning the corner on the season. Well, we got about 6 games left.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how everybody's going, but I feel right now, of course, Benedict, Albany State, Edward Waters, Kentucky State, Morehouse. I think those 5 teams they got a real strong heartbeat now. But of course, on one side of the rainbow, you got everybody with a heartbeat, but on the other side, who's got that flat line? The defending champ, Miles
and Lane.
Flatline. Lane, we love you, Coach Connors. We love you, brother.
We do. You know I do. But
yeah.
Pull the plug and throw the towel. Throw it the towel. Throw the damn towel.
Listen, you win some, you lose some.
But you live.
But Miles and Lane, y'all lost them all.
Yes,
so we're going to have to flatline y'all for the season and everything. There's no way that y'all can make a comeback and even be eligible for the championship game and everything, But like I say, we appreciate the effort, guys. We love the competition, But as far as making it to the upper echelon of the SIAC championship game, we don't see it right now. So we're gonna go ahead and flatline you two guys. Miles, Lane. All right. Let's move on over to D1. Miak. Boy, I tell you, it's about to get good because they only have a
Almost.
certain amount of teams, so they can't really get into their season
Right.
conference play until November and things. Well, right in October, 1st November.
Right.
But this weekend we have North Carolina Central heading down to Tallahassee to take on the Family Rattlers of SWAC.
Right.
What do you think about that game, Coach?
Well, Chris Mosley, running back, taking them down there, and the Walker, Harris, he got a little quiet this year, but he still leads that team. But the running game has emerged. Florida A&M, my pick, they're not really living up to what I thought they were going to accomplish this year on that gridiron. But the Alabama State game, that was a good game. Alabama State, not to get off topic, Alabama State to show that they're a little dominant this year. Florida A&M is looking to, although it's non-conference, to kind of, this would be a good game, I think, for them to kind of jumpstart them again. Or are they going to get flatlined? So I think you'll see a lot of fight come out. I think that R.J. Johnson III is going to be vital. He has to be able to spread that ball around as he does and use his feet when he can. But Central going to come out on this one.
Yeah, I totally agree. Walker Harris is, like you say, he's not having the season that he had last year, but I think that they lost some pieces to the team, so they were kind of trying to fill out their offense. They got going, when they beat Fayetteville State earlier in the season. They went out to Texas and beat the East Texas team.
Right.
Please don't quote me on that. I'm getting the name wrong of that team and everything, but they thrash them out there in Texas. And anytime you go out to Texas and beat the team, that speaks volumes.
Right.
But I believe going down here, they're going to get geared up. But I'm really looking forward to when those Bulldogs from South Carolina State travel to Durham, North Carolina, and take on the North Carolina Central Eagles. That's going to be a game. You know what I'm saying? Because the Bulldogs are in Greensboro this weekend, taking on the Aggies from A&T for their homecoming. Oh. And I got to talk with the schedule.
It might be a G-hole. It might be a G-hole outside that field, but on that field.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, the only, and this is my prediction, and you can listen. Anybody want to call me, talk junk to me after the game's over, that's fine. But before the game, I'm sitting here saying it now, ain't no way in the world the Aggies is going to take a W over them Bulldogs. That defense is hell.
And the band good, though.
You see the band?
HBCU.
You're right. Hey, the band is wonderful. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? But the band don't count in between the lines, Coach Thrill. You know that.
Not a bit.
Okay. And Coach Cheney Berry is about to bring his Bulldogs from Orangeburg, South Carolina, and they're about to wreck shop in Greensboro. And Greensboro gonna be locked down.
Yeah.
G-hole. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the only thing that you're not going to get is a W on that football field.
A W.
Hey, call me and let me know. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But one thing I know is HBCU sports. And Chennis Berry is a hell of a coach. You know what I'm saying? Now, no offense, you know what I'm saying, to the Aggies. First year coach, he's back into the program, but I don't think he's gotten it to the point where you can compete. You know what I'm saying? So they need to talk to who's doing the scheduling. You need to go get a Virginia Lynchburg or somebody for your homecoming or something like that. Somebody said, no, we're going to bring them South Carolina State Bulldogs in. Okay.
Man, we'll put this on the books, baby. We'll put this on the books. Did you see last year?
Yeah. Did you see?
What to me?
Did you see? But before we go, I want to say I miss the Battle of the Border when A&T used to come down to Charlotte and play South Carolina State. And that was, because tomorrow's about to be ridiculous. I don't know if you listen, if you don't like large crowds, stay away from Aggie Stadium in Greensboro, North Carolina. Stay away from Market Street.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's about to be, yeah.
If you come from Fort Winston-Salem, stay away from 40 East. If you come from Burns Durham, stay away from 40 West. If you come from Charlotte, stay away from 85 North.
Woo! So this is about to go down. Yeah, but let's move on over to the out west, going over to the SWAC. Now, I'm going to sit here and say right now, this is going to be the game of probably of the best game of HBCU of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The Jackson State Tigers, for their homecoming, they're welcoming in the Alabama State Hornets
for a conference championship,
and it might as well be. You know, I mean, we can't. We're gonna talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But this right here is gonna be the game. And who are you looking for in this game, Coach Thrill? Who are you looking for in this game?
Ain't no like that, Andrew. Let me tell you something now. Eddie Robinson Jr. got him one of that kid right there, man. And he's a dual threat. He commands the ship. Jackson State, of course, is nothing to be reckoned with, but here we go. And I think you said it's their homecoming too, right?
It's Jackson State's homecoming this weekend. Yes, it is.
All right, look here. It's probably real good and chippy. Good and chippy. I got that body coming out on 10-point win, man. I'm gonna say 24-14.
Because you said 24-14, you got the Hornets over the Tigers.
Got them Hornets over the Tigers. Ain't nobody like Andrew Body.
This game is so important that ESPNU came in and picked it up.
You went and snatched it.
Hey, listen. TC Taylor is a great coach over there at Jackson State, and he has a squad ready. You know, Jacoby Morgan, he's the quarterback over there. Ahmad Miller, he's a running back over there. They have a great defense, you know, but this is about to be a heavyweight showdown.
Yeah. Okay. Quincy Ivory, Ashton Taylor, they're going to have to be on it to stop by. They're going to have to have a hell of a game.
Right. And we were talking earlier, you know, about are they going to have to bring in a spy to contain Biden?
A couple
you know, right. You know what I'm saying? And so if they do that, you know what I'm saying, then the Hornets are going to have the Jamari Holesclaw. He's going to have a great game. Because if they put Andrew Body, you know, if they keep him contained, you know, Holesclaw is going to have a great game, you know, for them too. You know, my prediction, 15-14, Alabama State. I it's too close for me to call, you know.
Yeah, I hear you.
But, you know what I'm saying, but I picked Alabama State at the beginning of the season, and that, hey, you my vouch.
Yeah,
I picked for the preseason. I said Alabama State.
Don't go running now.
No, I'm not running back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying 15-14. Those Hornets from Montgomery are going down to Jackson, Mississippi, and Jackson. And the boy got to get singing down there. You hear me?
Yes, Lord. It's going to be a heck of a game tomorrow, man. A heck of a game.
Yes, it is. You know. But like I say, at the end of the day, we enjoy talking about HBCU sports. We enjoy bringing you HBCU sports. We hope you enjoy HBCU sports. Listen, it is homecoming season.
Be safe.
Yes, please be safe. You know, you got homecomings at Alabama A&M, Alcorn, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Dale State, Grambling, Jackson State, Morgan. We already talked about A&T. Fayetteville State's homecoming is tomorrow. Listen, have fun. Go fellowship, see people that you ain't seen in a long time, eat some good food, drink some drinks that are going to get you home safe or whatever. Have a good time. But please, like we said before, leave the violence where you live. You don't need a pistol to come to know.
No. If they're not doing what you just said on that list, don't. Stay home. Right.
You know, so please enjoy it tomorrow. Enjoy the festivities, enjoy the camaraderie, you know, but please, everybody, make it home safe so we can see and you can watch the Pulse Weekly next week. We can talk about all the games, all what's going on in HBCU sports, you know. Henry Funny, we love you, brother, you know what I'm saying? I will listen next time. We'll get everything right. But from the Pulse Weekly, Toby Durham here. Coach Thrill. You know what I'm saying? We'll see y'all next week. Thank you for watching.